Hello, 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 everybody, one and all. We are back here on Strike Force News, and I'm here joined today with Loudmouth Reviews and the Crusader, aka JJ. Say hello, you guys.
Hi.
Yep. Hello, everyone.
Yes, and so what I have, I just decided to go starting up the live stream. I had a free afternoon that I could do so. As far as the car goes, I am making progress. But we're not yet full throttle. But I just thought, yeah, I really miss these news streams. So why not get back into the emotions of them? So today, and what I have is where the investigations related to President Trump stand by AP, talking about how Mueller destroyed evidence that from the Daily Caller, and going to comment on the CNS news article talking about how Trump is offering his border wall deal that I guess is supposed to resolve the government shutdown or something like that, and Hispanic approval of Trump, and also of this one article that S-Man had actually shared in one of our Twitter group chats, how Trump's first 2 years might have been a success. We'll look at that at more of an objective standpoint than anything else. But so yeah, Loudmouth, is there actually anything that you want to say? But before we get onto this stuff right here, is there anything that you want to say about Kathy Griffin?
Oh, yeah, she was
on air
threatening to dox some children on Twitter this morning.
Oh, God.
Yes, she was trying to get the names of these kids who were caught in a viral video. I guess standing there in front of some Native American chant, really very, very mild shit. All right, if anything, the kids may have been a little bit acting inappropriate, but they're kids. Okay. And she was trying to get their real names and trying to post the real names on Twitter. Some people claim that they have. I mean, it's messed up. I'm very afraid for those kids.
Didn't you say something along the lines that it was like MAGA hat?
Yeah, they were wearing MAGA hats.
Yeah,
which is apparently a crime now.
Right. What was I going to say? But didn't you say that it was a counter protest to some other protest or something like that?
No, they weren't really in a protest. I think it was at the March for Life. I guess they were from some Catholic school, and they were shouting some school slogans or something. I don't know.
I guess.
I saw it on the Washington Examiner, and people are saying, "Oh, they were going after a Native American, I think, veteran." But then I checked the comments and said that the kids were getting harassed.
Well, basically, the group approached the Native American group approached them, and the kids pretty much just stood there, kind of did their school chants. I don't know. You think listening to the reactions to those kids, you think they were pulling punches or something. They really just stood there. It's really weird. That's a crime. They stood in one place wearing a MAGA hat. Call the police.
Right. Anybody remember of how that one fat bitch stole the MAGA hat off of these fellow students of hers?
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was funny.
It was utterly dumb. No respect for private property or anything like
that. There was that other crazy guy that who stole it from kids and threw a drink in a kid's face. I think he was actually criminally charged. He got charged with a low-level assault. And that is an assault. I mean, throwing a drink in someone's face, it's a pretty minor assault, all things considered, but it's still assault.
Yeah.
So anyway, on with the news. Where are the investigations related to President Trump stand? Now, I have not been keeping very well updated on all the investigations that have been happening around Trump. Apparently there is more associated than just whole Russia collusion bullshit, stuff like that. What do you guys think? What are your quick words on all the investigations and whatnot, if any?
In terms of the Mueller investigation, I don't really think he's going to find much, really.
All right. what I've been hearing a whole lot is that there's a whole bunch of guilt by association that is being pulled with a good portion of it. But let's get into reading this to actually find out. Where are the investigations related to President Donald Trump stand and what may lie ahead for him? Excuse me. What's this all about? Trump is facing criminal investigations in Washington and New York. Special counsel Robert Mueller is looking into whether the Trump campaign coordinated with Russia and whether the president obstructed the investigation. Trump also plays a central role in a separate case in New York, where prosecutors have implicated him in a crime. They say Trump directed his personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, to make illegal hush money payments to 2 women as a way to quash potential sex scandals during the campaign. Now, the sex scandals themselves it sounds like pennies to me. I mean, I know that a majority of the Republican base likes to make a big deal about how they want their candidates to not be adulterers or anything like that. But I mean, yes, I would prefer if they were like loyal to their own spouses, the candidates that I vote for anyway. But ultimately, I'll care more for the policy than anything else. What do I need to know today? The chief federal judge in Washington has extended the grand jury hearing testimony in the special counsel's investigation. The grand jury was impaneled in July 2017 for 18 months, and the term was scheduled to expire in the coming days. Federal court rules allow the grand jury's service to be extended up to 6 months if it is in the public interest, quote unquote. Separately, now that Democrats have taken over the House, some party members are making noise about trying to remove Trump from office and get somebody who, in their point of view, will definitely be worse than Trump. So,
yeah, exactly. Do they really want Mike Pence as president?
No, maybe they're going to try to push for him to get impeached and get Nancy Pelosi as president.
If that happens, I'm leaving the United States. Fuck that.
President Pelosi. Hooray.
President Stretch Pelosi.
Yes.
California Representative Brad Sherman and Texas Representative Al Green introduced articles of impeachment against Trump on Thursday, the first day of the new Congress. Also Thursday, House Judiciary Committee Democrats introduced legislation to protect Mueller from being fired. Trump has repeatedly criticized Mueller's investigation, which there's nothing illegal about criticism, just FYI.
Yeah.
But Trump has been a whiny little bitch about it. Honestly, if he really has nothing to hide, he should just ignore it instead of freaking out about it on Twitter every day.
Maybe there is a slight something, like maybe, I don't know, something about tax evasion to be found in these investigations.
Oh, it's certainly possible.
Always a possibility.
I mean, I definitely think that tax evasion should be be punished via a massive fine towards President Trump or something along those lines. But I don't think that tax evasion is necessarily worth getting him out of office and then ultimately replace him with electroshock Pence, you know. And what's up, S-Man?
Hey, I'm pretty sure the Democrats at this point are going to try to find some reason because, you know, now that Pelosi is the House Speaker and she's third in line for the White House, if President Bone Spurs and Vice President Electrotherapy are removed from office, then they're going to then Pelosi would become president, and it would be still funny if she gets she runs for a full term in 2020 and still loses anyway. But anyway, what do you guys think? Do you think Trump is? I think he's going to serve a full term, and you know, I don't imagine he'll actually get impeached. They say Mueller's report is going to come in February. I'm not really excited about anything major coming from it, to be completely straight up with you.
Yeah, I don't expect anything either.
Yeah, it's a real rarity for anybody to actually get kicked out of office. So I cannot really easily imagine it. I mean, the most that happened as far as presidential levels go, from my knowledge, is that Nixon resigned. I don't think anybody actually got impeached out of office and then replaced by their vice president.
The problem is that requires 2/3 of the Senate to kick the president out of office.
Mhm.
Yeah, it basically, you know, Andrew Johnson, that is the closest we've ever come to removing a president. He got saved by the Senate by a single vote. The Bill Clinton was saved by 17 votes in the Senate. Nixon, I mean, this was a time when partisanship was not that big of a deal as it is today. He probably would have been impeached, removed, and he probably would have faced prosecution for his misdeeds during his presidency.
Right. All right. The legislation is designed as a companion to a bipartisan bill that was approved by the Senate Judiciary Committee in April. It would allow any special counsel who is removed from office to challenge his or her removal in court and would put into law existing regulations that a special counsel may only be removed for good cause. What's up with the Attorney General nominee? Trump's pick for Attorney General, William Barr, sent an unsolicited memo to the Justice Department last year criticizing parts of the Mueller probe as fatally misconceived. Oh, man. So Jeff Sessions is coming out, huh? But, no, that I'm not.
Not that coming out.
What?
Not that coming out.
Yeah, not that kind. Not the coming out of the closet. He's getting out of the Attorney General seat. I did not hear of this, honestly.
You didn't hear that he was forced into like this happened like the day after the midterms. Yeah, Trump had Sessions get the fuck out after Sessions wasn't being a total cocksucker for the president, and the guy that he nominated, he has as acting attorney general. I would definitely challenge the constitutionality of the pick because this circumvented the Senate for this guy to become the acting attorney general.
Did you wait? So it's because that. Did I hear you right that you said that it's because Jeff Sessions was not being loyal enough to Trump, why Trump wanted him out?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Trump was not happy with the fact that
he recused himself. Yeah.
Yeah. Sessions was having at least the decency to, you know, not be a total brown nose or bootlicker, and that wasn't enough for Trump. And this Matthew Whitaker guy. This is the biggest. He was just the chief of staff to the attorney general under Sessions, and Trump has him as the acting attorney general. This circumvents the line of succession for the attorney general's position. There's the deputy and solicitors general, and so on and so forth. And by circumventing the Senate, this is not a constitutional action Trump took with this.
I wonder if anything had to do with it, the whole marijuana circumstance of how Jeff Sessions seems so passionately anti-weed, and Trump just wants to get him out for the sake of PR.
No, you notice that every time he talks, he seems to be like a mob boss. He talks more like he's Don Corleone than he does the president of the United States. He can't handle the slightest bit of disloyalty from any of his underlings. That's why everyone around him has to walk on eggshells and just kiss his rear and tell him how wonderful his farts smell.
Yeah, it was over Sessions recusing himself about the special counsel investigation, and Trump ordered him to resign the day after the midterm elections, November 7th of 2018, and William Barr. I don't know if you guys mentioned this before. Yeah, I didn't realize that he was actually the 77th Attorney General from 1991 to 93. So he'd be returning if he's confirmed by the Senate, which I think he'll probably be confirmed by the Senate as the fucking GOP. Unfortunately, they confirmed Kavanaugh by a narrow margin. They'll probably confirm Barr by a narrow margin too.
The 20-page memo sent in June while Barr was in private practice and months before he was selected by Trump for the Justice Department job may prompt questions about his ability to oversee the special counsel's investigation fairly. The document argues that there could be disastrous consequences for the Justice Department and the presidency if Mueller were to conclude that acts a president is legally permitted to take, such as firing an FBI director, could constitute obstruction of justice just because someone concludes that there was corrupt intent. I find intent to be like a
very hard thing to prove. Yeah,
a very weak thing to go off by for punishing somebody.
I mean, technically, as president of the United States, he did have the legal right to fire the FBI director. Essentially, the FBI director was one of his employees, and he's the boss.
Yeah, like these people serve at the
Mhm.
pleasure of the president. He can dismiss anyone in his cabinet, you know, and legally he can do it. You know, I mean, the Tenure of Office Act used to prevent presidents from doing it, but then they ruled that that was bullshit and that the president has the right to dismiss anyone in his cabinet. Although it'd be a pain in the ass if you don't have a majority of the Senate to confirm who will be who will be the new cabinet member. But
Which
yeah,
is why most presidents don't do it nearly as often as our current one does.
yeah. If the Democrats had taken the Senate, which would have been a bitch for them to do, if they would have taken the Senate, I think Trump would start to be a little more cautious with his temper tantrums.
Nah,
And
I highly doubt it.
well, I
He
mean,
behaves the way he does because he literally can't help himself.
yeah,
All right. People don't realize the character of the man elected president. He really has the mindset of a petulant child.
yeah.
Who knows if he like got surrounded by both a Democrat controlled Senate and Congress, he probably would just initiate a whole bunch of executive actions and so forth.
Like President Obama did.
Oh,
yes.
DACA was the
Obama
biggest-
did that. And the Democrats cheered that shit on when Obama did, and it came back to bite him in the ass because a Republican took over the next time and used that same power that Obama seized against them. And that's why people who are like, don't really see a couple of years ahead, all right, and just want who's ever in power because we like him to take the reins and do whatever we like. They really are being idiots, and they are shooting themselves in the foot later. Like 10 years down the line, they will look back at their old position and they'll be like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, like in the end, you know, you like DACA was actually the biggest quote unquote accomplishment, depending on who you ask, for President Obama in his second term. I mean, like that's kind of sad when executive orders is all you can do. And I think that if Trump gets reelected, he'll probably lose the Senate and he'll be just effectively a lame duck president, like President Lopsided Ears. I mean, Obama, but yeah.
Right, like people saying that they want the border wall built by him declaring a national emergency. Yeah, then the Democrats could take power in 2020 and then socialize medicine through a national emergency. Healthcare is a national emergency, God damn it. We can bypass Congress now. It's a very dangerous precedent that people who support stuff like that are setting.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, I just want to... something about the national emergency, by the way, Ben Shapiro actually mentioned that in one of his recent episodes, and he was disapproving of that, of the fact that he was just taking unilateral powers that way.
Well, Ben Shapiro is much smarter than the average conservative intelligentsia. A lot of them are just mindless Trump bootlickers. A lot of them. Sean Hannity's of the world.
I don't even... Oh, yeah, definitely Sean Hannity of all people, but I don't even know if I would consider all the Trumpists to be, well, I don't know. I was about to say I do not know if I would technically call them conservative, but then again, I mean, aside from when it comes to free trade, because typically the brand of conservative that I meet, at least, are more pro-free trade than the typical Trumpists that I would be meeting on the internet.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, this is why the Trump administration, I think, is going to hurt conservatives and Republicans and people that are to the right of Democrats in the future. Is they can take, and this is the problem with just in general partisan politics, is, you know, anything one administration does, future administrations can do the same thing, and you're really limited in your line of attack against why they did those things because you may have supported them in the past. Like if you were exceptionally hawkish on foreign affairs, actually, let me rephrase this. If you were very dovish on foreign policy during the George W. Bush administration, but you ignored all the war crimes and drone strikes that killed people under the Obama administration, you can quite frankly shut the fuck up when it comes to what Trump is doing regarding foreign affairs.
Well, one of the big examples was when Harry Reid removed the filibuster for judicial appointments in the last couple of years of Obama's presidency, and boy, did that come to bite him in the ass.
Yeah, like I don't think it should be like I would have a filibuster, but I wouldn't make it to where you need 60% of the Senate to end a filibuster. Like I generally don't like filibusters. Like to me, it's like if we have a fucking majority wanting to vote on this shit.
Well, I disagree with you on that, S-Man, because needing a supermajority does wonders in helping bad legislation fail. And I think, as Calvin Coolidge once said it, it's much more important to stop bad legislation than it is to pass good legislation.
All right, fair enough.
60. Okay, I would have to look up that quote.
Yeah, 60%.
I may not have been word for word, but Calvin Coolidge did say something like that.
He has some Calvin Coolidge. I like Calvin Coolidge.
Calvin Coolidge is the greatest president of the 20th century, in my opinion.
Liberty is not collective; it is personal. All liberty is individual liberty. I love that quote.
God damn, how awesome would the world be right now if Calvin Coolidge or someone like him was president? All right, instead
we'd be better off.
Jackasses like Trump or Obama.
Yeah, and like 55 to 60 is I'd consider like a super majority. 67, I think that's well, that's obviously 2/3, but yeah. Didn't he say like, isn't he called like the great refrainer, and didn't he say like a government like that governs least governs best, or I think that's what you said, Loudmouth. You had said that yourself, but not.
Yes, and well, another great moment of Calvin Coolidge is when a reporter came to him and bet him that he could get him to say more than 3 words, and Calvin Coolidge looked at him and said, "You lose."
I thought that was actually pretty funny. We need a president that has the personality of Calvin Coolidge.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, getting back to the article, we're going off on a tangent. I mean, it's an interesting tangent, but nonetheless. So did the Trump campaign collude with Russia? There is no smoking gun when it comes to the question of Russia collusion, but the evidence so far shows a broad range of Trump associates had Russia-related contacts during the 2016 presidential campaign and transition period, and that several lied about the communication. There's also evidence that some people in the president's orbit were discussing a possible email dump from WikiLeaks before it occurred. American intelligence agencies and Mueller have said Trump was the source of hacked material released by WikiLeaks during the campaign that was damaging to Clinton's presidential effort. Interesting.
Thinking emoji.
I said Russia was the source of hacked material released by WikiLeaks. Okay.
If this turns out to be true, I think I will have to owe Secular Hawk an apology, because I've said there's no proof for this shit, or it's very weak, and I'm not going to worry about it when I have like plenty of other criticisms of President Bone Spurs. But if Russia turns out to be true, I will make a video formally conceding this whole point. But
although with the first paragraph here talking about Trump associates that had Russia-related contacts during the presidential election, it seems to be almost I don't know, guilt by association seems to be a very bad metric to be one to punish a president over. And plus, in the later paragraph right here, saying that Russia was the source of hacked material, like, how would a person be able to connect that specifically to Trump? Like, how would that be Trump's fault that Russia got a hand on some of our information? Like, yes, Russia, I'm very on edge about Russia getting access of any of our own hacked material,
of course,
but how would that be connected to Trump is where my main question is.
Because at the time that they were saying, oh, Putin's doing stuff, when Hillary was mentioning this during the debate, he was just the Republican nominee. He has no political power. Just because you're the nominee for a political party doesn't mean jack shit in terms of how much power you have. But you know, it's like if you're so worried about security, national security, it's like, what steps were you taking during the Obama administration around this time, around the 2016 election? What steps were you taking to ensure that national security was that secure? And
yeah,
I mean, with associates getting tied to Russia, it looks bad for Trump, considering that the crowd of people they would hang around. I think the issue they're making is that this guy is not responsible in terms of hanging out with people that are not constantly getting in trouble. Like it will look bad for him inevitably, and it's not like necessarily like a guilt by association, but more of, you know, if you have so many people getting indicted or investigated, you know,
I gotta go, guys.
All right, see you,
See
Crusader.
you later, JJ.
Like, if
Continue talking shit about Trump.
oh, we will.
Yeah.
But essentially, like imagine if Loudmouth, right? Let's say a bunch of his fellow movie reviewers on YouTube. Imagine if he was in a group of them and they're all getting investigated for piracy, whether it's true or not. Like, if this is happening all the time around him, people might think, okay, well, is he next? And at some point, it might not even be a coincidence.
It will it will naturally just fall, like, a bad image will just naturally fall into Loudmouth in that case, just like a bad image will naturally fall into Trump because of all of his associates having dealings with Russia. I mean, but that's human nature above everything else. Like how let me think of another example. Like of how it. Oh God, I'm trying to. Sorry, go on.
Well,
if you had anything more to add, anyways.
Well, yeah, that's just my point. Is like, that's their whole point. Is if Trump has so many people under investigation, could he be involved, and can there be, if he is, can there be a way to prove it? Which I think, this is right now is a destabilizing time, because when we got a due process being constantly thrown out the window, it's like these people, I think, are slightly above retarded, and they can understand that if you want to prove Trump guilty of something, you're going to have hard evidence, because a lot of people thought Donald Trump was going to go down without a fight in the general election of 2016. They were wrong. They were dead wrong. So I think they also finally understood that for other elections that Trump is involved with to any extent, is that they're going to have to be acting as if it's a bare knuckle brawl rather than fighting some fucking invalid.
Anyway, I'm going to finish off this article because I am tired of looking at Flo's spurgy ass face. Other questions to consider. What about obstruction of justice? That is another unresolved question that Mueller is pursuing. Investigators have examined key episodes such as Trump's firing of former FBI Director James Comey and his fury over the recusal from the investigation of former Attorney General Jeff Sessions. What does Trump have to say about all this? Trump has repeatedly slammed the Mueller investigation as a witch hunt and insisted there was no collusion with Russia. He also says his now former lawyer, Cohen, lied to get a lighter sentence in New York. End of article. So that's the end of that one, and we'll be moving on to this one.
God, Mueller looks like he's so fucking miserable.
It really does. And, actually, I'm kind of on edge, I guess, for, like, pulling a daily article, or a Daily Caller article, I mean. Because apparently Daily Caller gets a lot of shit. I mean, I don't know if you guys ever saw this, but on Twitter there was some spat. Metal Minister actually tagged me in this Twitter thread right here of where that Daily Caller was getting a whole lot of shit for, like, posting an article that was talking about a supposed nude photo of Cortez.
Honestly, I'm sorry. The people that are hating on her, like, I don't like her either. I think she's a fucking retard. And
Some
I think
people take it over the top, yeah. But
the
thing with Daily Caller is that they weren't actually saying that it was actually a photo of Cortez being naked. They were trying to say that, hey, this is photoshopped. But everybody was making it out like if Daily Caller was pushing it out as fact, when really they were trying to debunk the Photoshop. So,
still, though, why would you even comment on that shit?
I don't know. I mean, maybe for clicks, but ultimately, I don't think.
Yeah, exactly. That sounds what it is right there. Okay.
But at the same time, I don't.
Of everyone's least favorite congresswoman. Yeah. Stupid.
Yeah, but ultimately, I don't think that them pursuing clicks in that one article completely destroys all of their credibility on everything.
No, it doesn't. But that was seriously a kind of a stupid move on their part.
Oh,
really stupid move.
Anyways,
with Cortez, her real statements are so stupid. Very frequently, she can be so easily attacked legitimately that I'm amazed that some people will attack her for really stupid reasons sometimes.
I'm not going to lie. People refer to Cortez as just AOC, her initials. And one time, I'm not gonna lie, when I heard somebody say AOC one time, I thought I had heard Amos Yee.
Oh God, that son of a bitch.
Oh, poor fucking AOC right there.
Yes,
that's why I'm just going to refer to her as Cortez and not AOC, because it'll just be
like Amos. Didn't he like get caught like with some shenanigans on Discord recently?
I
don't know.
So.
He's God damn it. The real thing with that guy is why the fuck hasn't he been deported? Given that he's not an American citizen. All right.
Oh,
and
wait.
I have an attitude that if you come to my country, all right, you have to contribute something to it. He is not contributing anything positive to this country.
Nothing but a bunch of apologisms for pedophilia.
Yes, and he's not producing anything. He's not working. He's not helping the economy out in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. On top of everything, he really has no good reason to be in this country.
All right.
Yeah.
So anyway, the Daily Caller, we are just going to take this with a grain of salt, at least. Powell, new facts indicate Mueller destroyed evidence, obstructed justice. This indicating that it was Mueller who obstructed justice. All right.
Oh, that would be deliciously ironic if that turned out to be the case.
Yeah. So anyway, this
what was with those celebs who were doing that "Wish You a Mueller Christmas" video like last month? That was pure cringe.
Oh, geez.
It was so cringy. Not even Tara Strong's very milthy qualities could save that video.
What was I going to say? I'm not reading a Fox News article for everybody out there. Anyway, the Supreme Court held long ago in Brady v. Maryland that the Constitution requires the prosecution, which holds all the cards in a criminal case, to give the defense all evidence favorable to the defendant, whether it impeaches a witness, mitigates punishment, or shows his innocence. Indeed, the burden is on prosecutors to find anything in the possession of the government that is favorable to the defense. From the minute Judge Emmett G. Sullivan received the case against Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, which will be decided on Tuesday, he ordered Mueller to provide the defense with all Brady material. Last week, Judge Sullivan specifically ordered Mueller to produce any FBI interview reports called 302s or memoranda irrelevant to the original interview of General Flynn. Ironically, Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley has been requesting the agent's notes and 302s for 2 years. Did Mueller comply? Remarkably, but not surprisingly to those who have read my book, Mueller has thumbed his nose at Judge Sullivan's order. He ordered only a 302 created by his own squad 7 months later from his own agent's interview of none other than the infamous fired for bias, disgraced Trump-loathing former agent Peter Strzok. And the guy who swore he'd stop President Trump and devised an insurance policy with his mistress, Lisa Page, and Deputy Director Andrew McCabe in case Trump won the election. We are watching Mueller execute that insurance policy by the day. And I got a question. Isn't Peter Strzok like guilty of lying about an adulterous affair or something like that?
I think
who isn't these days?
Well, I thought that was the case with specifically Peter Strzok, that he basically pulled a Bill Clinton of where Bill Clinton lied about having extra affairs.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman, but I did let her top me off in the Oval Office. What a fucking loser.
Bill Clinton, you're a fucking loser and you know it.
He married Hillary Clinton after all.
Oh man, you're only one step above incel if you have to like marry something that ugly.
Damn right, motherfucker. Anyway.
All right. The evidence indicates Mueller has destroyed or is suppressingly Brady material. There was an original 302 created within 5 days by FBI protocol of the January 24th, 2016 ambush interview of General Flynn by 2 agents. Strzok and Special Agent Joe Paintka. Okay. It is mentioned in the Strzok page text messages and on page 4 of the recrafted 302 Mueller filed. Comey read the original 302 before he was fired. Okay. All right. It existed. As Grassley well knows, it was written by Agent Paintka, who also took extensive handwritten notes, whose name is redacted from Mueller's filing, and who seems to have disappeared. Where are the original 302, his notes, and where is Agent Paintka? Grassley has been trying to get access to all three for almost 2 years. Mueller's filing confirms that Agent Paintka was assigned to take notes of the interview. Judge Sullivan's order encompasses the production of those notes. Where are they? Were they destroyed despite Grassley's long-standing request and Judge Sullivan's original Brady order? The failure to produce them is another Brady violation that warrants the dismissal of the charges against Flynn and warrants holding Mueller and his team in contempt of court. Interesting. This is getting kind of, this is going just slightly over my head, but I will be linking this down in the description box if anybody wants to reread it or something to like extra digest it. But, you know, Paintka, that sounds like an Eastern European name.
Call him Joe Pink Eye. No, I'm kidding.
And no doubt Mueller is aware of other Brady material in the possession of the government. There are 2 important sets of information being withheld from the defense under the guise of classification. According to California Congressman Devin Nunes, speaking on Laura Ingram's program last week, there is testimony from none other than former FBI Director James Comey himself, speaking before House committees. That is exculpatory of Flynn. Because Comey, Because Comey just confessed on national TV that he so cleverly, gleefully, and deliberately breached all protocols and any semblance of ethics to ensnare the new administration and Flynn in their carefully calculated perjury trap. There is every reason to declassify Comey's testimony immediately. The public is entitled to see his duplicity. With all the corruption that I hear go on with the FBI just in general, even if like the charges against Trump specifically turn out to be mostly, if not all true, it seems that both sides in this battle over Trump's corruption seems to be all dirty, just all around.
I know. I posted a new article for us to read. It's on a more lighthearted subject matter. Posted in the chat.
Oh, I see.
All right.
I'll probably go for that.
It's a little more lighthearted. It's just kind of funny. It's a good salt mine. We can mine that salt and taste the salt.
All right.
Speaking of salt, I can't imagine how much fucking salt was on Trump's table when he was serving fast food for all these athletes coming into the White House. Like, my God, what a cheap bastard. But hell, honestly, I would not mind actually going to the White House for a hamburger if they offered it. I would not turn it down.
Wow, it's actually better food than what they serve in fine dining. Like a lot of the stuff, they dress it up and spend so much money on it, but it ends up tasting like shit.
Yeah, I mean, fuck it. Honestly, the Ben Shapiro parody of it actually was making me laugh my ass off.
Ben Shapiro parody? I did not see that.
I saw it. That was fucking funny.
I'm subscribed to Daily Wire, but I haven't came across that clip.
It was on his Twitter. He posted a picture.
So anyway, John Solomon. Okay. So for that one article that you shared in like the live chat, Loudmouth, how long would you be able to like stay for the program? Because I got 3 more articles ahead.
I kind of want to do that one because it's funny.
All right. I don't know. Maybe I'll just like do it right after this article.
Please.
All white, Loudmouth.
In his defense, he did say please.
All right. You know what? This article can be like saved for another day entirely, anyways. So,
oh my God! I'm sorry. I just saw.
I mean, you're the one like shared this article in one of the group chats, so I thought, why not check it out? But
Darkcon, Donald Trump looks like a woman in this picture. He looks like a wrinkly old Georgia woman.
Are you part of the new transvestigation community?
They did one of Melania Trump. I was fucking dying.
Those are.
Oh God! Oh, what the fuck? That face. What the fuck? That is not a face that I want anywhere to kiss. No, don't want to be anywhere near.
That jawline looks sharper than a fucking butcher knife. Holy hell, that is one jawline.
Ugh. Anyway, John Solomon reported, and Grassley has identified, information in the possession of the DIA that is exculpatory of Flynn. Apparently, the information remains classified, most likely to protect Comey from outrageous abuses of allowing private contractors to mine our intelligence gathering systems as far back as 2012 for nefarious reasons, including unmasking and private profit. But that does not absolve Mueller of his obligation to produce it to the defense. At a minimum, the information must be given to Judge Sullivan under seal. In the alternative, the president should declassify this material immediately, because the government has a solemn legal obligation to produce at least the substance of all exculpatory information to the defendant. If there are true national security interests to be protected, a summary will suffice. Excuse me. Anyway, it gets worse. Okay, 1 second. I'm going to. I see that S-Man is
just look at their Twitter really quickly. I swear to God, this shit is beyond parody.
All right, so I'm the last thing standing between you and the apocalypse.
Look at the pinned tweet, please. Please look at the pinned tweet.
She is a legitimate president of the United States.
Jeez, someone needs to get over it.
Oh my gosh.
That's cringy.
What bunch of desperate. Like, seriously, get a life. Get a hobby.
Honestly, yeah, they need to. I just saw that account last night, and I'm like, I just quoted the tweet. I was like, LOL, no. The ice spit's lost, and they still can't get over it.
All right, so it gets worse. The Inspector General of the Department of Justice reported late last week that Mueller wiped Peter Strzok's cell phone of all messages during the crucial time he was working for special counsel. The IG was unable to recover any text messages from it. This was after the Inspector General informed Mueller of the extreme bias of Strzok and Page, evidenced by thousands of text messages on their phones. These messages were so egregious they required their termination from Mueller's squad. Not only did Mueller hide this development from Congress, but he destroyed evidence of Strzok's phone and allowed DOJ to do the same for Page's phone. That's a crime. Mueller put Paul Manafort in solitary confinement for simply trying to contact a witness. So yeah, the destruction of evidence, like deletion of text messages, like, I can only imagine that that is probably something dealing with Strzok's extramarital affairs. All right. So anyway, any ethical law Department of Justice official would have taken custody of all electronic devices of Strzok and Page immediately upon discovery of their extreme bias and blatant misconduct, or certainly upon their termination, and preserved all the evidence. For Mueller to destroy this evidence is blatant obstruction of justice that warrants his immediate termination. The same is true for Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein, who was overseeing it at the time. Mueller has shown abject contempt for the wrong court. Judge Sullivan is a real judge who believes in the rule of law and has the integrity to enforce it equally. The evidence strongly suggests Mueller violated Brady, destroyed or suppressed evidence, and obstructed justice in violation of 18 U.S.C. He has disgraced himself in the Department of Justice. Mueller's time is up. End of article. So, okay. Any final commentaries on this article, you guys? This was like posted last year in December on the 16th. Kind of an old article, but is still kind of relevant, I think. I mean, as far as extramarital affairs go, I mean, it's like, it's very trivial, I would almost say. I mean, I kind of applied that towards the whole Trump-Cohen situation there, and I'm also going to apply that same logic to Strzok's extramarital suspected extramarital affairs.
I mean, after Democrats spent 2 decades defending Clinton, they really are not in any position to even entertain the idea that lying to Congress about an extramarital affair really means you deserve to be kicked from office.
Right. I mean, it's a grand irony of things.
It is a massive irony. That's what I was saying earlier about be careful what you defend. That's why I always say never give up the moral high ground. It will always bite you in the ass later.
Mm-hmm. So, anyway, moving on with this article shared by our friend Loudmouth Reviews of the Loudmouth Reviews YouTube channel. This from Hollywood Reporter. Something to like lift up our spirits very quickly before we get into more of the news. All right, so Leslie Jones slams new Ghostbusters film. It's like something Trump would do. With that shit-eating grin right there. Shit-eating masculine grin.
I mean, well, to be fair, guys, she can't help what she looks like, so we shouldn't mock her appearance too much, you know?
Oh, okay, so this ain't that long of an article.
No, it's a pretty short article, yeah.
The actress who starred in the all-female reboot of the franchise in 2016 tweeted her disappointment about the news earlier this week that Jason Reitman will helm a new movie that will continue the story that began with the 1984 original and its 1989 sequel. So instead of making a sequel of the newer Ghostbusters, they're going to make another sequel of the older Ghostbusters.
Correct, which is what fans wanted the whole time.
Right.
Which is letting these feminists who really wanted the 2016 reboot to succeed. This is causing immeasurable amounts of salt. It's salt concentrations worse than the Dead Sea.
It makes the Great Salt Lake of Utah look pure.
When I got to watch Aquaman last Tuesday, I actually saw a trailer for like the new Hellboy movie that they are coming out with. That's supposed to be essentially a reboot. Like, yeah. At this point, is it really worth like making another sequel to a franchise that's like this old? Because with the way
30 years since the last installment.
What?
Ghostbusters 2, the last movie in that continuity, came out 30 years ago.
Right. I mean, is it really appropriate or I don't know. Because at first I thought when I was seeing the Hellboy trailer that was going to be like the third installment of the original Ron Perlman Hellboy franchise. But then comes out, hey, no, it's a reboot. Different actor, different everything.
Yeah, I don't see the point of that. Why didn't they just make Hellboy 3?
I see. Anyway, in response to the news that Jason Reitman's new Ghostbusters project will continue the story that began with Ivan Reitman's 1984 original and its 1989 sequel, and ignore the female reboot from director Paul Feig in 2016, Leslie Jones, a cast member from the latter, has voiced her disappointment on social media. The comedian, quote unquote, took to Twitter on Saturday in a post that said, "So insulting, like fuck us, we didn't count. It's like something Trump would do." Trump voice. "Gonna redo Ghostbusters. Better with men. Will be huge. Those women ain't Ghostbusters. Ugh, so annoying. Such a dick move, and I don't give fuck I'm saying something." And you can tell the inappropriate grammar here is largely because she doesn't have enough characters that she can fit into a tweet. And I don't give a fuck. I think what you meant to say there was I don't give a fuck.
I'm saying something. I'm a strong, independent woman, and I'm gonna speak out against this whole making a sequel of Ghostbusters nonsense.
I do not know if you caught on to this, Miss Jones, but hardly nobody likes the newer Ghostbusters. Are you living under a rock?
It wasn't funny.
Right.
The movie was really painfully unfunny. Like, some of the jokes were pure cringe. Like that one moment where Chris Hemsworth, when he hears a bad noise, he covers his eyes. That is really childish comedy.
Oh, God.
That's like 2-year-old level comedy.
Oh, the Nostalgia Critic, I actually watched his review for it. I never watched the 2016 Ghostbusters, and I don't think I really care to. But he said that the jokes were like really hit and miss, was how he put it. But what do you think? Do you think it's nothing but misses?
It wasn't like the worst movie ever, like some people portray it as. Like, compared to the average Happy Madison comedy, for example, it was much, much better. So it wasn't like excruciatingly bad on its own. But when you compare it with the original movie, its comedy is so far behind, it's actually very frightening. Like, the original movie, what was so great about it is just how witty the lines are and just how perfectly timed all the comedy is.
Was Happy Madison like one of the worst or one of the best of freaking Adam Sandler?
Huh?
Wait. Happy Madison. Was that the one where he was playing as the golfer?
That's not a movie. That's a company. It's a production company Adam Sandler owns.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
They produce a lot of different really bad comedies, some of which star Adam Sandler, some of which don't. Not all of them have Adam Sandler actually act in them, but it's his production company. And they're widely known as making some of the worst comedies of all time. Right.
What was the name of the movie, though, of where Adam Sandler plays as a kick-ass golfer?
That's Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore, not Happy Madison. My bad.
Yeah, Billy Madison was another movie. After those two movies, he started his own company with the names of two of his most famous characters from actually decent movies he was in back when he actually starred in good things.
Right.
And then he produced his own, and we got trash from that company like Little Nicky, Jack and Jill, Master of Disguise. Master of Disguise.
I take it that Happy Gilmore he did not direct?
Of course not.
Okay, so Adam Sandler, decent actor, but terrible director.
Well, it's really just the culture that his company's made. His movies are lazy. They inflate the budgets to give big payoffs to his friends, and the way he'll set them in like exotic locations just to give him paid vacation. It's just they're trash films, and I guess by comparison, movies like that have kind of lowered the bar so much that Ghostbusters: Answer the Call on its own really isn't that bad of a movie. It's just not good. All right, and the jokes are absolutely far more miss than hit throughout the entire movie.
I see. One thing that Nostalgia Critic definitely says that is better with it compared to the older Ghostbusters is the action in it.
Well, obviously, it came out 32 years later. Technology's improved so much.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have the Ghostbusters just standing in one place, pointing their stick in one place like for 5 minutes straight.
Right, but it didn't really need good action. What made the scene entertaining were the banter of the main leads. Like Dan Aykroyd's great line when he walks up there is fucking amazing. As a duly designated representative of the state of New York, I order you to cease and desist all paranormal activity and return to your place of origin or the nearest possible parallel dimension.
All right, so
brilliant comedy, and then after it's over, Harold Ramis just looks at Rick Moranis and says, I'll need a sample of your brain tissue.
Now, correct me if it was not Billy D. Williams who played as the black character, was it?
No, it was not Billy D. Williams. It was Huey.
My mistake.
What was his name? Damn it. Fuck, I forgot that actor's name. What was fuck.
We're a bunch of racists. Loudmouth for forgetting the guy's name, and me for confusing him with Billy D. Williams.
No, it's not Billy D. Williams, but we're not racist. We just forgot his name.
No. I was kidding right there. Okay, that was the most. Granted, that was the most.
I know, but goddamn, it's bothering me that Earl.
Here, let me see if I can like search it up very quickly myself. My phone. So Ghostbusters. No, not the
Ernie Hudson.
Ernie Hudson.
Ernie Hudson was his name. He played Winston in it.
Ah, Ernie Hudson. Okay.
Yeah, he was the black guy. And I made a point of that in my review that he was kind of the most relatable character, actually, in the original movie because he was just some guy who wanted a job. He was a little less nerdy than all the white characters, but he was still more relatable than them because, again, he was just your average working Joe.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so Jones tagged her fellow Ghostbusters co-star Melissa McCarthy along with Reitman. So far, there have been no responses from anyone involved in the film, which has received backlash since the announcement of its intent. In England, a journalist wrote an open letter to Jason Reitman, citing his missed opportunity. Feige's Ghostbusters received mostly positive reviews upon its release. It currently sits at a 74% Rotten Tomatoes score, which seems kind of inflated in my opinion.
Which is baffling to me and really just shows these critics were afraid of being called sexist if they criticized the movie.
And you know what's even more shocking is that the Orville got a 25% rating or something like that.
25, I've actually never watched that show.
What?
I've never watched the Orville.
Oh, check it out, dude. Get yourself a Hulu account and check it out. If you like Star Trek, you will like the Orville. You will love the Orville.
I don't know.
And grossed $229 million worldwide. And in particular, the strong foundation of female friendship was mentioned in many reviews. Right,
but it wasn't even there in the movie, though. Like at the end, it comes right the fuck out of nowhere. The characters are just kind of at each other's throats and never really form a real friendship. And then when they're in danger in the last battle, all of a sudden there's like this theme that they're like close friends, and it comes out of nowhere. So no, that was not a big part of the movie at all. That was a poorly done part of the movie.
Oh, wait. So the character development was absolute shit in Ghostbusters 2016.
It absolutely was.
I see.
Yeah, the character development was below average. The comedy was below average. Nothing about the movie really worked.
Right,
and it really only appeased people who were all about its girl power thing, and wanted to like slander all the original movie's fans who hated it as sexist. That's pretty much the only reason anyone defended the movie. Like, I'm willing to bet Steve Shives probably bought a ticket to see it 25 times.
Okay. Reitman is writing the screenplay for his film in collaboration with Gil Kenan. Casting details have not yet been released, though the film is set to enter theaters in 2020. End of that article. Okay, so yeah, funny salt mining to read there, Loudmouth. Thanks for the recommendation.
Yeah, but yeah, her flipping out about it like a child, so unprofessional. Unbelievable how childish her behavior is.
You know, what do you think of the movie I Spy that where Melissa McCarthy was the main protagonist of that?
I honestly have never seen it.
All
right, what's wrong? What
it's I guess decent. Maybe. I mean, okay. My biggest problem with it is of how they made Jason Statham look like a chump in that movie.
I don't know. Jason Statham is a chump in every movie.
He's a chump in every movie?
Yeah.
Including Expendables?
Apparently. And in the Meg, where he's the only one who's able to fight a giant, like 80-foot shark.
Okay. I mean, I don't see how that's much of a chump when he's...
I'm joking. He's never a chump in his movies. That's the point. He's always kind of plays like this perfect badass.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so essentially he's a little bit of a Gary Stu in a lot of his movies, would you say?
Yes, definitely. Like Crank, for sure. He was an absolute Gary Stu in that movie.
I can't remember what the name of the movie was. It was like Homeward Front or something like that. It was the one where he was supposed to like save his daughter from this I don't know, this drug gang or something like that.
Drug gang. I don't know. I don't think.
I think it was a
Netflix original. Of his movies. Just saw the Expendables, Crank, the Meg. I did like the Meg. The Meg was fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was it was nicely self-aware that it was a piece of schlock.
Right. And but the thing with Jason Statham is that they kind of build him Jason Statham's character in I Spy. They build him up to be sort of a badass, but at the end there was no payoff to his buildup or anything. Like in the final battle, okay, you don't mind if I like spoil anything, do you?
I give a shit. Go ahead.
Like in the final battle, you have Melissa McCarthy's character, and then some of the other main protagonists, good guys. They're all being captivated. They're all captured by the bad guys. And then Jason Statham comes rushing in through the door to save their lives, but then he gets his coat caught on the doorknob of the door and knocks himself the fuck out and is just passed out before he could actually save them. And then Melissa McCarthy, it all falls on Melissa McCarthy as she has to grab the Glock and then save everyone else. So I guess if a person was to go off on a limb, they can say that there's a whole bunch of unrealistic Mary Sue persona put on that movie, just in the same way of Ghostbusters and Star Wars Episode 7 and stuff like that. But my biggest thing was of how they like nerfed Jason Statham, especially in that scene. Like that made me facepalm. It's utterly ridiculous. Anyway, so CNSnews.com, Trump offers border wall deal. I intend to keep that promise. One way, the another. Okay, that's a big typo with the title there for starters. So I take it that you are actually approving of the fact that the government is shut down, right? As a libertarian?
Not really. Because it really doesn't save the taxpayers any money, because eventually everyone's going to get paid.
Well, especially
so
if
it does
Trump,
kind of show that for like 99% of Americans probably wouldn't know the government was shut down unless they watch the news. It says something that their day-to-day lives are mostly unaffected.
I know mine certainly is unaffected.
Yeah,
I mean,
mine is too.
So I take it, as far as the government shutdown goes, you're kind of neutral on that, whether or not it stays shut down or not?
I'm just kind of, I wouldn't say even neutral. I just don't care. I'm apathetic.
Okay, I see.
Because I think both sides of this, like the Democrats are just being so damn childish on this. Trump's even offered them what they wanted, but they still won't give in because they're refusing to concede anything.
All right.
And it's so hypocritical of them, because I remember when it was racist to not give the president everything he wanted.
Like when it comes to the issue of immigration, that's not one of the issues that you're most passionate about. Like I remember that we were in an what?
But border walls certainly couldn't hurt. It probably would harm some of the drug cartels.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the biggest thing. I mean, of course, it will not affect all illegal immigrants, especially them who like come here on an expired visa or something like that. But it could definitely like slow down drug cartels.
Right.
But are you all for building the wall, or are you just apathetic on that set too?
I'm mostly apathetic on that too.
Yeah, I would say that I'm kind of meh on the wall. Like if it gets built, I mean, I would definitely say don't tear it down. Otherwise, you are making even more of a waste of money of it than for it to be built in the first place. Like it's one thing for it to be built. Like somebody can like say it's a waste of money that we're building this, but it makes it an even bigger waste of money if you're going to tear it down after it's already been officially built. I think there are some pros and cons to going ahead and doing it and go ahead and not doing it. And one of them is like the whole fiscal side of the issue.
Well, it was really funny are some of the really bad arguments against it people are posting on Twitter. One person was saying how we shouldn't build a wall because the wall in Game of Thrones didn't work. Good idea. Because as we know, Mexico is filled with ice-breathing dragons.
Wow. That's some no bullshit level of stupidity.
No, there really is. It's like when no bullshit argued against veganism by citing Planet of the Apes. Shows he really did. He is that fucking retarded.
Oh, okay. Before this becomes into a no bullshit rant, let's get on with this.
Okay, yeah, forget talking about him. We're going.
All right. One way or the other, the border will be secured, as he promised when running for office. President Donald Trump vowed Saturday in an address to the nation. Offering concessions to Democrats on the issues of deferred action for childhood arrivals, DACA, and temporary protected status, TPS, for asylum seekers in exchange for funding construction of a border security barrier on the U.S. southern border, President Trump reminded America of the tragic loss of illegal immigration and vowed to keep his campaign promise. I've gotten to know and love angel moms, dads, and families who lost loved ones to people illegally in our country. I want this to end. It's got to end now. These are not talking points. These are the heartbreaking realities that are hurting innocent, precious human beings every single day on both sides of the border. As a candidate for president, I promised I would fix this crisis, and I intend to keep that promise one way the another. One way the another. Wow. Major grammatical slip right there, Trump. I just got to say. Okay, so maybe one way the another was not a typo on the part of CNS News, but more like it was a grammatical error that they were quoting verbatim of what he said.
Yeah, but that's kind of a grammatical error. Let's be honest, all of us make slips of the tongue, grammatical errors like that sometimes.
All right. So Night Shift 10,000 is in the chat. He says, my next video is about Trump pulling the troops from Syria and the libtards losing their shit about it.
Yeah, that is stunningly hypocritical given the whole... I remember during the Iraq War, they vilified Bush over that. But they're for staying in Syria for some reason.
Well, that's mostly the...
Iraq, if anything, were stronger than the ones for staying in Syria.
That would mostly be all the Hill bots who would be losing their shit over that, I would think.
Yeah.
Like all the Bernie bros, they wouldn't so much be against that. Hello, Red Feather. How are you doing? Night Shifts also says, Orange Man bad, endless war good. Wow.
Orange Man bad, endless war good. That should be like the next campaign slogan.
All right. So both parties must come together and reclaim our future from the extreme forces who fear compromise and demand open borders, Trump said, before introducing his plan to end the government shutdown caused by the budget feud. The good news is these problems can be solved, but only if we have the political courage to do what is just and what is right. Both sides in Washington must simply come together, listen to each, put down their armor, build trust, reach across the aisle, and find solutions. It is time to reclaim our future from the extreme forces who fear compromise and demand open borders, which means drugs pouring in, human trafficking, and a lot of crime. Okay, so that's the end of the article. So Trump's offer is give me money for my border wall, and I will give you DACA and all these other amnesty-esque type of provisions for illegal immigrants. Which I would think, like, as a politician, that would be a doable compromise. Because in the short term, you would be allowing all the current illegal immigrants to stay in. But in the long term, you would be preventing or majorly slowing down any further ones from coming in.
Sounds like a good deal, in my opinion. Because I was going to make a point about the Dreamers. You know, they've been raised in the United States. They have no real connection to the country they were born in. All right. I think offering concessions for them in exchange for border security to prevent future mass migration, this is actually a really smart move by Trump. And that's not something I usually say about Trump. He very rarely makes it smart moves on anything. But this was a very smart move, and the Democrats rejecting it really shows that they're the ones who are set in stone and refuse to compromise.
Yeah. All right, so we need a shirt, says Red Feather. What would the shirt say, Red Feather? I'm just curious.
Would say Orange Man bad, endless wars good.
Oh, I see. Night Shift 10,000.
That's what the shirt would say.
Night Shift 10,000 says, yeah, when the Republicans were for endless wars and now Democrats are for that. Apparently, actually, that is like a little bit of a shift on that. Like, I don't think Republicans have become completely non-interventionist in their foreign policy, but they have definitely like watered down on that rhetoric, whereas Democrats seem to have picked up on some of that rhetoric from the Republicans. Red Feather says, I'm good, Dark Khan. How are you? I'm doing pretty neat. Just catching back up on Strike Force news. Life is good. Aside from not having a car still, but yeah. Anyway, I digress. Night Shift says, no, the shutdown isn't ending. Or wait, what? I don't know. I think that might be a little bit of a grammatical slip by Night Shift. I think he might have said, no, the shutdown is ending. Anyway, Red Feather says, you do a pretty good Trump impression. Well, thank you. I didn't think it was the best, but I'm glad that you like it, Red. She also says, Darkon, you should look up a channel called Clorinda Adela. She just did a vid yesterday about what the Democrats should do to get her to vote for them again. I see. Taking a sip of my coffee there.
Well, I certainly could never vote for a Democrat just because of their commitment to the social justice warriors and all the insanity of those guys.
Okay, so Night Shift asks... Huh? So, sorry, what?
I was done.
Oh, okay. Night Shift asks a question in the chat saying, wait, is it or isn't it? Because I want to know. Well, from that last article that I read there, I did not see any evidence that the shutdown was actually ending, Night Shift, but it was just Trump offering... What?
It's not ending because the Democrats will probably reject it. Like a bunch of petulant children.
Right. I mean, yeah, I did not see any evidence there to that it was actually ending Night Shift. Just Trump trying to offer a deal to end it. That was all. I mean, whether or not the Democrats accept it and the government actually does get brought back up is a different story. That is yet to be seen. Please, for the love of everything good and holy, don't let it end. Yeah, I could somewhat agree with that, Night Shift. Anyway. No, Hispanic approval. Okay, this was interesting right here because typically you know of how everybody like race baits that Trump is an extreme racist, particularly at Latin Americans. This is interesting. I thought this was interesting right here. Hispanic approval of Trump surges to 50% as employment sets record. But at the same time, they're saying employment sets record. Are you keeping into account the labor force participation rate at that point? But anyway. So anyway, a new NPR PBS NewsHour Marist poll shows Hispanic Latino approval of President Donald Trump's job performance jumped 19 points in the past month, hitting 50% in January. Sorry, excuse me there. I was about to sneeze. Red Feather says him canceling Pelosi's trip was hilarious. I know, right? They already have like 790 miles and they need 200 more. Really? What are you talking about? Are you talking about for the wall to be constructed, Red?
Yeah, Trump isn't even demanding enough to build a wall across the entire southern border. He just wants it for about 200 extra miles.
That's what the 500...
I think about 650 miles of border wall.
That's what the $5 billion proposal is for. I see. I say companies should donate portions. You know, that is like something quite odd. And everybody brings up the point that Trump could very well chip in some of his own personal wealth into like constructing
I would actually
this wall.
gain a lot of respect for Trump if he did that, but I don't think he will.
Yeah, Trump is probably a little bit too self-centered and selfish for that. If he was to like fund the wall his own self, he would definitely have respect amongst us libertarians. And
well, I mean, $5 billion. He's rich, but he's not really that rich that he can just give up that much money. His personal wealth is really only like 2 or 3 billion.
Okay,
I mean, he can definitely contribute some matter of millions to it, but he can't really pay for the whole thing.
Night Shift says in the chat here, why couldn't we have just waited for Pelosi to have traveled over and then canceled her return flight?
Because that would have been going a little bit too far.
Red, Red Feather also says, but not all of it is the greatest of quality. All right.
Yes, that's true. Not all of the fencing is the greatest of quality. There are like holes in even some of the 600 plus miles that are built. So a lot of it's like substandard.
You know he doesn't get a salary for being president, right? What?
Yes, I know he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't get a salary. He forgoed his presidential salary, which is would be $450,000 a year, but Trump forgoed it.
Okay, I heard that he would, like during the campaign trail, he said that he would offer to forgo his own salary, but
no, he's not. He doesn't take a presidential salary.
I didn't think that he would actually hold that word, like go along with that word, and actually refuse to take the salary.
He's got more than enough money to live on to the day.
Yeah, I mean, I know. Realistically speaking, he could refrain from taking the salary, but I didn't think he would actually go along with that in refusing to take the salary. But I don't know. I would have to. If that's really true, well then good on Trump.
I mean, theoretically, Obama could have. He's not a billionaire, but he had a few million from his book sales. But whatever.
Night Shift, that could have been even better. I think she's referring to Night Shift's proposal on Pelosi. Anyway,
yes.
In the National Survey of Adults age 18 and up, conducted January 10 through 13, 2019, 50% of Latinos said they approve of Trump's job performance, while 46% disapprove and 4% are unsure of what they think. In December, only 31% voiced approval, while more than twice as many 64% Hispanic Latino adults said they disapproved of Trump's performance. Okay, you know, it almost seems unbelievable. I'm going to be honest. That big of a jump in under 1 month's time, like from 31% to 50%. What do you think, Loudmouth?
It's an approval rating?
Yeah. Amongst Hispanics in particular.
That is kind of interesting. Probably just because of a better economy.
Maybe. Well, it's at least temporarily better, but people keep on projecting that it's going to, not last.
Lose most of the Hispanic book, regardless. Let's see. This doesn't have to anything to do with what's being talked about here, but my opinion, Brace Dallas Howard is the most beautiful woman ever. And she's hot, but I mean, really? I don't know. Whatever.
Oh, I see. You were reading Night Shift's chat. Okay. I mean, I think, though, if, like, Trump was to, like, keep the Hispanic approval for himself up to 50%, then he would, like, stand a good shot at actually getting reelected as president. If he could, like, keep it up for until the 2020 elections, at least. I mean, if the economy doesn't collapse before then, but if it does, well, then he'll probably lose.
If the economy collapses before now in 2020, he's done. No chance of him getting a second term if that happens.
Oh, yeah. On January, unless the Democrats actually plan to do the stupid move of re-nominating Hillary Clinton for the...
Which is not going to happen. So if the economy doesn't collapse, if it's still steady, 50-50. If the economy collapses, 0.
Oh, wait a minute. Red asks who Bryce Dallas Howard is, and Night Shift says she was recently in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah, she's the chick from Jurassic World. Yeah, she's a good-looking woman, but really most beautiful woman in the world. I don't
know. Is that the main chick?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she's got tits.
Yeah, a good-looking woman, but why bring her up? I don't get. What does she have to do with anything? I don't know.
I don't know. Night Shift must be looking at porn or something. One of the most beautiful women, he says. Red Feather also says a little bit further up in the chat. Well, I could see how legal immigrants would be even more pissed about illegals.
Yes, yeah. I see that too.
Like the legal migrant from Mexico would be, hey, fuck you. I had to follow these rules. Why don't you do it too? You're making it harder for me. Yeah. Damn it.
It's true. Illegals are making it harder for legal migrants. No doubt they are.
Yeah, and all the people that go against us, pro border control people, they'd be conflating, like particularly those on the left.
Yeah.
They'd be conflating legal immigrants with illegal immigrants into one single group and say that we're against all immigrants. Like it's like what the fuck? That's okay.
Which is absurd.
They're either intentionally straw manning us or they're just being a bunch of dumbasses as they do not get the terminology and the difference between a legal immigrant and an illegal immigrant.
Yeah, Cora's being all like a little wild dog right now. But I normally I'd walk her when she's like this, but I can't now because it's too fucking cold.
Right. Yeah. Porn and pics of her, says Night Shift.
Porn and pics of her. You know what? Good on you, but you don't really need to tell us everything.
Okay, well then I will not read his chat text anymore. Sorry, Night Shift, but this is a news stream.
Yeah, why is he telling us what he jerked off to? That's your business.
Well, Red Feather says something actually a little bit more relevant, and says like Riley Dennis complaining about the list of crimes being committed by immigrants being published. Wow, yeah, they really want to confuse up the debate on immigration with that.
Why would they object to like criminals being exposed? God, Riley Dennis, that guy's a nut job.
Oh, really? Really is. I say Riley should fuck off since, quote, she, unquote, lives in Australia now.
True.
All right. On January 4th, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics released employment data showing that Hispanic Latino employment set a new record high in December, while the unemployment rate for this cohort fell to its lowest level on record, as CNSnews.com reported at the time. In December, the unemployment rate for Hispanics and Latinos aged 16 and up was 4.4%, down from 4.5% in November, tying its record low of 4.4% set in October of this year. Bureau of Labor Statistics began tracking Hispanic Latino employment data in 1973. The number of Hispanics employed set a new record high of 27,701,000 in December, as their unemployment rate fell to a record low. The number of Hispanics employed participating in the workplace and civilian population all rose in December as Hispanics labor force participation rate increased from 66.8% to 67%, according to its fourth straight monthly increase. All right. So the decrease in unemployment amongst Hispanic Latinos seems to not be an inflated number since they're keeping into account the labor force participation rate of how it's hardly budged at all, and in fact has increased by 0.2%. So I say good on CNS News for that. Although, you know what would have been even more interesting is if CNSnews.com like broke down the approval rating of Hispanics to Trump and the unemployment and labor force participation rates of Hispanics, differentiated them from the legal and illegal immigrants. That would make this even more interesting. Wish they would have done that, but hey, you can't have everything. Because it would kind of make sense. Say if, for example, the labor force participation, or not labor force participation rate, what am I talking about? It would be very interesting and understandable to find out, hey, all the legal Latin immigrants, they're more approving of Trump than the illegal Latin immigrants. All right. Night Shift says, I honestly don't think a wall will help as the Gulf Coast is wide open. Well, it won't help with water entry into the country, but it is more prone to help more with land entry into the country. Right. That's what I say. I mean,
well, we could put a wall across the Atlantic Ocean.
That might be a little bit more overkill, I would say. I mean, a water barrier is like, overall, it is enough. Like, unless you have like a massive force of troops like invading you, like it was D-Day again, I don't think a wall is like really necessary on a water line.
A wall in the ocean.
Oh,
that was a joke.
My bad. Excuse my socially awkward ass.
That would actually be insane supervillain type shit.
Adolf Hitler, an insane supervillain.
It'd be like a Dr. Evil plot from Austin Powers.
If Dr. Evil was like the Nazi Germany Führer of World War II.
Something like that, yeah.
Oh, wait. I wonder, is it a big conspiracy? Dr. Evil and Hitler, are they the same person?
No.
We're just going to have more makeshift boats made out of garbage coming into the southern states, says Night Shift. And questionable as to whether they would actually make it to the coast before they broke down. But, you know, I don't know. It's a big statistics debate. We'd have to actually break down the data and so forth for it. Redfeather says they could just swim off the coast of Mexico over to Texas. You know, that's another thing. I mean, how far would they have to travel just around the corner, the very northeast corner of Mexico? Travel around that to the very southern tip of Texas just to get around the wall, you know? We will hold the Jews prisoner for $1 million, says Night Shift. Oh, y'all. That kind of edginess in my chat. Night Shift, are we witnessing the conversion of you coming from ANCAP to an alt-righter? Please, no. I don't like alt-righters.
Yeah, a little too edgy for me.
Yep. I mean, imagine if I was like just reading a whole bunch of racist super chats right now. I would have a Wall Street Journal article written about me.
Yeah, I know. I don't want that shit. Then my channel would get deleted and stuff like that. I don't want any racist super chats around.
No, it's if Dr. Evil was Hitler, says Night Shift. I see. Oh, I see. He's quoting the movie because there's that one part when Dr. Evil is like, $1 million. So,
okay. I get the joke now. Oh, $1 million, yes.
Oops. Anyway, I think I'm pretty much done with this news stream.
I'm pretty much done too.
Got to get on with some editing projects and other stuff like that. All right. And I will get done the collab that we have in the process, Loudmouth.
That's fine.
All right. And then everyone told him that wasn't much money, says Redfeather. Well, that depends. Is he charging like $1 million per Jew?
It was kind of a joke about inflation that the Austin Powers did back in the 90s because Dr. Evil like slept for 30 years.
All right. But anyway, that's all that I have to say right here. This is my co-host, Loudmouth Reviews. Sorry that S-Man and JJ could not stick around for the rest of the program. But for all of you who have watched in the chat, Redfeather and Night Shift, we are back in the roll of things. Next Sunday, we will return with another news stream next Sunday afternoon. But until then, I am the Dark Conservatarian. This is my co-host, Loudmouth Reviews. Well, actually, Loudmouth, you have anything to say in closing?
What do I have to say in final? Subscribe to my channel. Peace and love to everyone on Earth.
Yes, check out his channel, Night Shift. You'll like it. Anyway.
Peace and love.
What?
Peace and love, I said, for everyone.
Yes, and peace and love. So, see y'all later. God bless, and see you next time. Bye-bye.